It was the first time for me that I quit a job. That was my first job ever, just to mention that. First of all, good news, I got a mic. Told you that I got a new/used camera. It's an older one, it's the Canon G7X Mark II, and you cannot plug in a mic. It's an older camera and the quality is I could hear a difference in the audio, especially when I was filming in Shinjuku. And now I got like a mic/a recorder, and then you have basically your video files and your voice recording, and if you sync these two, you got good audio, hopefully. Good news first. I wanted to tell you something, and I'm going to do this in 2 parts. This is part 1. I quit my job. And in one of the next videos, I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do next. I got this question maybe once at least. I'm not going back to Germany. I knew that I'm going to quit my job eventually since last year in May. But I didn't say anything because you never know. A year ago, I decided to change a couple of things. Lately, I have been home a lot. I'm trying to save money. This is a long-term project, what I'm doing right now. Thinking about a lot of, I don't know, what I want to do in the future. I have a basic office job, and this is type of job where you get like a very regular salary. You do not get promoted. You do not get high salary raises. You learn new things, but it's not something that I want to pursue forever. You see, I'm making YouTube videos. For example, I'm interested in doing creative things. So I kind of knew that this was going to happen since last year. I was not 100% sure. I am now 100% sure because now I did all the preparation for everything that I'm going to do from now on, or most of this preparation. All that kept me very busy lately, also is still keeping me busy and is going to keep me busy for the next couple of, I don't know. I started to work at my current place in 2017, and back then I had different priorities. I just started my YouTube channels. I wasn't sure in which direction that's going to go. And now I'm doing this social media thing. I'm not a full-time or professional YouTuber whatsoever, but I'm doing that for a while now, and at least I can imagine going more into that direction. You have seen also on my channel or in my Instagram stories that I learn coding at the moment. That gives me hopefully in the future some new opportunities in some way, if I don't give up on it. It's really hard actually to learn that, but different other things, like I'm taking courses online during COVID. I noticed first of all, I have enough money on my bank account to take a long break from work. Taking a break to think about what I want to do next, so it's also not 100% sure because a lot of the things that I'm trying are long-term goals. But I need the time to pursue these things. I am still going to work for about 4 or 5 more weeks. Last day at work is going to be somewhat in the first week of July. I have not been taking days off this year at all. And I'm going to make at least one separate video about my job, I think. I don't hate my job, it was a good job, it was kind of basic. But it gave me stability. I learned a lot, my Japanese got a lot better. Because it might be interesting and also a little bit fun, I want to make a separate video where I tell you what I hated about working in Japan. I haven't done that yet. You get so much criticism on the internet. When you say one negative thing, everyone is like, don't be so negative. It has never been a job that I thought I would ever do. It has never been a job that I thought I would ever apply for. But because a friend of mine, she's also from Germany, she worked there before me and she was doing it, so I thought, okay, maybe you can do it too. I mean, I did the regular 2 interviews and stuff like that. It was an office job, so I was mainly sitting behind a computer. It was not an office job inside of a big company, it's like just really an office. But my main task was to write emails. The Japanese that I had to use there was very particular for this job, even like terms and words that maybe even Japanese people wouldn't understand. So for that I was always a little bit proud of myself that I managed to do this job. I study Japanese studies and a big part of that is learning Japanese. and I desperately wanted to find a job where I could use it, because even if you're living in Japan, it doesn't mean that you are really able to use your Japanese. I could always feel that even though it wasn't a very difficult job, like writing emails, and even though I did not have much overtime, my Japanese is pretty good at this point, but it's still hard to keep up with everything. Every email that goes around, all the news that we have to deal with, the changes, the meetings, it's everything in Japanese. I told my boss this year in March that I'm going to quit, and I told him also why, and many of my friends asked me what his reaction was. He was very nice about it in general. First he was surprised, sure, and then he talked to me about my plans, my future a little bit. I was very nervous about it. It was fine. I had a feeling that when I got out of his office that the whole atmosphere changed, that like I had this feeling, so like, oh no, now everyone knows. And it was so quiet, but I'm not sure anymore. I think he never told anyone about it. Just like recently, it really started to, people started to hear about, or I needed to tell some people lately. As background information, you need to know that even though I worked there for a while, I never got super close to my coworkers. One of my coworkers overheard us talking, and then later when I was alone with her, she asked me, "Oh, you're going to quit?" And she was super, I used the word devastated. You know, it's a little bit like overreaction. I did not expect her to react that way, and I got this reaction twice. Like, I think most of my coworkers will just be like, "Oh yeah, that's really sad that you quit." Two or three of my coworkers were already like that. They were like, "Yeah, I heard that you're leaving and it's really sad," etc, etc. And then they were talking to me about basically my work, and just like last week I finally started to give some of my work to some of my other coworkers. Didn't expect this kind of reaction. It's nice that you are appreciated. Sometimes you get some feedback for some things that you're doing, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago I did these really difficult things at work, and then after I finished all of that, like my boss and also the one person that worked with me on that, she was like, "Oh, I have seen what you were doing there," and even me, like as a Japanese person, like my head was spinning, and I never knew if I was doing a good job or whatever, or how people were judging my work on, like, not, yeah. Wow, okay, I think I talked way more than I wanted to. I'm still going to be employed until the end of July, but I'm going to take my last days off in July, so I'm going to kind of be free in July. I cannot explain to you in words, with words, how I'm looking forward to not having to work for a while. Well, quitting my job, it's partly sad, but it's looking forward to what's coming next. I'm also pretty nervous about this because this whole, such a huge change, but it is definitely the right decision. I could not have imagined myself doing the same job that I'm doing now for the rest of my life. So no matter what comes next, it's first of all a good decision to quit. Anyhow, maybe also it inspires you for everything that I'm going to do from now on, which is a lot. Let's stop at this point. Again, leave your questions in the comments, and then I'm going to see if I include the answers in one of the next videos. If I'm doing a Q&A again, I don't know yet. Well, yeah. Cheers.